Okay, in this video I'm going to look at how we do basic working drawings of our parts. So I'm going to choose the base to do the drawing of. To create a drawing it's dead easy. Again, we just go to the plus symbol, create new element, and we want to create drawing. Again, it gives us two options, so A3 or A4. We're going to select A3 because that's our folders. Once we've done that, it will bring up an A3 drawing page with a border and a title. Again, it's trying to preempt what we want to do here. So what we're going to do is just select our base from our little drop down. Again, it brings this little image, click on part, and it'll basically try to automatically put on there. So I'm just literally hovering over with the mouse, I'm not clicking anything. So again, before I drop it down anywhere, what I might want to do, if I just zoom in a little bit here and just move up, you'll see that because it's the American piece of software, it actually naturally wants to draw everything in first angle. So what you might want to do before you drop this onto the page is actually go to the little drawing properties. Again, you can change all the dimensions, annotation sizes, all that type of thing. But if you've got views, you can actually change it to third angle views. That's sometimes the easiest bit. Reduce that back down. Again, insert view, which is where it was defaulting to before. Insert, again, we'll just select our base part again. So we're back to basically where we are, but it's going to hopefully do everything in third angle now. Again, you've got to think about which view you want. So at the moment, you can see here, it's on the front view. Could change it, so we're starting with our side view. Again, it's entirely how you prefer to do your drawings. I tend to start with that. Again, you can see here that I could change the scale of it if I wanted to. Clearly, if it was a more complicated drawing, I'm going to stick with 1:1. It'll fit on there nicely. So again, all I then do is drop it on the page. Again, you'll see up the top here that the projected views has now been selected. So if I just move above, it'll automatically start producing the top view. Again, once I've done that, come back down, select, so click the left mouse button, it will then produce my side view for me. So again, really quick. Again, go back, click on it, go diagonally up, you'll see it can produce an isometric as well. It can actually produce isometrics any way you want, to be honest. It can do a bottom view, a different angle, all that. All these can be moved around, all that type of thing. But obviously once you've finished and you don't want any more views, just click on the projected view icon. It'll allow you then to sort of reposition. If you reposition that first one, they all move in line. So again, you just want to get it somewhere near, give you enough space for your dimensioning. What I'm going to do, I'm going to change this to a shaded view. So you can do this on all your drawings, to be honest, but I tend to do this one as a shaded view. So again, I'm going to right click and then click on shaded view. So it gives me a sort of a visual representation. What I might also do is actually get all the hidden detail, because you can't see any of the holes, the hidden detail lines. So again, I'm just going to select all three drawings, right click, and then show hidden lines. Might as well put them all on. It's good practice. Once I've got to that stage, we're then ready to start our actual dimensioning itself. So to dimension, dead easy. Across the top, we've got lots and lots of icons. Again, mainly use the sort of basic dimensioning. So I'm just going to zoom in a little bit and we'll start adding the dimensions on. So all I'm going to do, again, I'm just going to select the very outside. So again, if I just selected that, you'll notice if I zoom in that it's not actually going all the way, because we've got a curve on the end there. So this is where you've got to use, and again, you can do the same any dimension. I'm just going to select this very corner, go to that corner, again, drag out the dimension line, try and get the number in the middle, and then going to do the same with the height. So again, I'm going to click on it. I'm going to click that top face this time. So again, just zoom in, left click. I can then produce the height. Don't worry about that. I'm then going to put the width on. So again, I'm going to select that side. Just zoom in a little bit. Select that top line. It'll allow me to to dimension that. Again, if I get close, you'll see that it's doing this sort of inference bit, so it wants me to try and line it up. Again, it's always good practice on a working drawing to get everything nicely in line. So that can be added on. One thing to note quite often that people mistake by is that the double dimensioning. So in theory we already know that width. What quite commonly happens is people will dimension that bottom one. Again, realistically that's a dimension that's not needed because I can work out that dimension from that view. It's basically the same one, but again, just good practice not to double dimension if possible. So we'll put our basic dimensions on there. We then need to think about putting some of the dimensions of the sort of hole centres, but again it's quite tricky at the moment because we've only got a circle. So what we could do with is putting some centre lines in there. To do that, it's very straightforward. So again, up this top section we've got our centre lines. So I'm going to put a centre mark. All I then do is select each of the circles, and you'll see it'll put a centre mark on there. You can also use a centre line, or you should be using a centre line on all where your holes are as well. Otherwise it could be difficult to, it's not that difficult, it's a fairly obvious one, but again it's good practice. We put a centre line through the middle. So again, I tend to start at the bottom, again zoom in, so produce a centre line up the middle. Again, just make sure that you've got it at 90 degrees going through. Again, I'll do exactly the same on these ones here. Again, just making sure you've got that. So I'll start in the middle, triangle. So we've got all our centre lines of circles, so that will allow us to dimension a bit easier. Again, we can move all these around if needs be. So I'm then just going to go back to basic dimensioning. So I'm going to put dimensions. So again, I need to zoom in. So I want the very centre of the circle, centre of that, and again I want this dimension. Again, it's good practice to always have your dimensions where possible off your drawing, so it's not making a mess of the actual drawing itself. I'm going to do the next one on this one over here. Once we've done that, again, it's this idea of, you know, not double dimensioning, but you might decide you might want to put the dimension for where this is on this section here, or on this lower one. Again, it doesn't really matter which view you do it on, but I'm just going to dimension from there to there. So we're going to our basic dimensions again. Things like that we assume, you know, if you're not putting otherwise, you would assume that those are in the centre, which is why I tend to draw that centre line on. Again, quite often don't dimension from edges to centre of holes. It's always across the centre line realistically, so that's why I'm not adding anything on realistically on that. I'm then going to add the hole sizes. So again, you can see you've got lots of different options here, chamfers, all that type of thing, radial, diameter, dimension and diameter. So I'm just going to zoom in. You can see that will dimension that. Again, I could have put it as a radius. Again, tend not to mix up the two. So just be a bit careful with that. Just really showing you that option that I can do as a radius or a diameter. Again, it doesn't really matter which one you do really. Again, if you want to delete it, much the same, so I've just unselected it. Click on it, click on delete on your keyboard, it'll actually remove that dimension. Again, that sort of assumes that all of them are going to be the same. You don't really need to dimension them. If you haven't dimensioned them, then people would assume that it's the same hole size. Again, we can see it goes all the way through. Possibly the only thing that we need to look at is putting the fillets on there. So hopefully, if I zoom in, the idea of that it's got these radiuses on the top corners, that type of thing. Again, you don't really need to go around dimensioning every single one. Again, an assumption would be if you dimension that corner radius, that all the radiuses are going to be 2mm. Again, you could always write that as a note on the drawing as well. Save you having lots and lots of messy dimensions on there. So again, you know, very basic working drawing. Again, lots of things that we could have done. Obviously, we're running out of space, but I'll just go through. So again, you know, if you've got more detail, you might want to put this more complicated thing. We could have had a detail view. So again, I'm just going to zoom in, select a section. Again, that'll give you sort of an enlarged view of that, and you could potentially dimension that a little bit easier. Like I say, it's a bit messy that. Obviously I don't want that, so I'm just going to click delete while it's selected. Again, I could put in things like section views, you know, if you weren't really sure. It's fairly clear from this diagram, but again, I could do a section view through these holes here. Again, that would produce a section view through it. Again, we don't really need it, there's not that much detail on our drawing, but again you can see it produces a section view for you. It's also a bit messy, but again, if we didn't have that one, that would be fine. Again, I'm just going to delete that by pressing delete on the keyboard when it's selected. Again, it's, you know, we'll use lots and lots of these tools when we come to do the more complicated drawings. Other than that, we just then need to add in the details. So if you look down the bottom, again, most of the details are put in there. You might want to add a title. So double click in that bottom box and call it base. Again, you can move these around, so that's not a problem. Again, you can see there, I can just move that down a little bit, centralize it. Again, I could put the what's on that? Delete, get rid of that. Sorry. Again, double click in the box, so we can put the material in there as well. Finish. Didn't want to press return there. And just click OK. So again, I can put the finish in there, all that type of thing. And that's about all we need to do for our drawing. So that'll be then ready to export if needs be. Again, if you're not sure how to export a drawing, if you literally right click on the drawing, you've got an export function here. Again, it's going to export it as a PDF, colour version, all that type of thing. Again, you can rename it. If you click export, it will then produce it as a PDF that you can drop into your file. Just wait for that to load up, hopefully. So there you go, you've got that PDF version that you could save into your own file. So it's a fairly high resolution image of the same thing that you can just drop straight in there onto your electronic form. So hopefully that's run through the very basics of how we produce a working drawing in Onshape.